It is 6 o'clock, or 4 minutes after. I will now call to order the January 23rd, 2017 meeting of the East Hampton Conservation Commission. The meeting is being recorded. Are there any public concerns, non-agenda items? You might as well come on up and free yourself up at this as early as possible.
All right.
Since we have no hearings or public meetings tonight.
Well,
And if you could just introduce yourself for the record. And
I'm Keith Terry with Sherman and Frederick Land Surveying. We prepared the project over at the Valley Medical Building. And I actually don't quite know the entire issue that's going on. So they're looking for a certificate of compliance. Is that what received as a request?
so the commission from George Boyle, but signed Matthew McDonough, received an email on January 18th regarding the Valley Medical Building at 238 Northampton Street. There's a 2008 order of conditions that was recorded, miracle, and recently a question arose concerning whether or not a certificate of compliance was issued and or filed. They talked to Jamie Webb in the planning department, who suggested reaching out to the commission. So we can look in the files right now. Would anyone want to check for 238 Northampton Street?
Under N for Northampton.
Quite helpfully, yeah. And it's DEP file number 151253.
253.
If that helps. So I guess this may tell us if there is one. There wasn't one recorded, which is usually, if you bother going through the process of getting a certificate of compliance, most people would then take that step to record it. So it's quite possible that it was not recorded, or it was not requested. If that's the case, then we would need someone to submit a request for certificate of compliance on the DEP form.
Okay.
And usually that's accompanied by a cover letter or some form of written narrative describing compliance with the project with key dates and post-construction photos, and if there were stamped plans, then with a set of as-bills. And noting any significant deviations from the approved design.
238 Northampton Street.
So
That's a good start.
is a
DP number.
as-built plan,
Sorry?
an as-built plan is required?
If there was a set of stamp plans, copies of filing, what year was that, Ashley?
I'm hoping that
It was
2008.
Yes.
I'm hoping it's a transposed number. 'Cause
I
this is
imagine
235.
it was, because,
And it's got the Matthew McDonough
okay,
order of conditions. Do you want to? You know what you're looking for.
okay. So the good news is we have a file.
So we did do stamp plans.
Oh,
I mean,
find a copy of the order of conditions issued for 238 Northampton Street.
Yeah, we don't need that piece of paper anymore. That's great.
Oh, the order of conditions.
Yeah, which is awesome.
That's
because
helpful,
It shows here that it
but
was
it's not
recorded, and it references plans signed and stamped by Don Frederick. And this was a buffer zone only project, I believe. I have little, even though I signed this, I have little to no recollection of this.
Well, it was 8 years ago.
Thank you. There's a child in between, 2 even. Jay, is any of that you?
No,
Okay.
I can look at it closer. I see Stuart's name on it.
Yeah, and then, so there's Dan Buttrick, me, Kelly, and, is that you?
No.
No, someone else.
What did she say we needed besides
It could have been Peter Cleary.
Could have been. But when I saw
Stuart?
Stuart's name, then I kind
Stuart Bristol. Okay, so.
So it's a DEP form request for termination? No.
Certificate of compliance?
Okay.
This is an extra copy that was not recorded. We don't need the extra paper in our files. Just making sure. So Sometimes things aren't in chronological order. So I think the biggest thing for us was, the stormwater. It's buffer zone. That's triggered an ENF. There's those intents. And then illegible handwritten note. So yeah, that's what would be required. There's no public notice for it. There's no butter notification. So it would be a matter of as-built or record drawings.
So you need a set of record drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And the record of construction, what, and,
If possible, the dates of construction.
yeah, we weren't monitoring the construction, so we don't have dates of when things were completed. But the plan, the record plans itself, do we have to do an as-built of the entire site? Or are we doing just an as-built of the basin?
So, I think the keys here would be the stormwater basin. All the stormwater BMPs, just make sure that the basin is constructed as designed and approved. And then photographs of current conditions. And some reference to proper O&M of the stormwater basin, which is critical to function. It's recommended. And then we would, our schedule's on the city's website, including submittal deadlines for meetings. It's generally 2 weeks in advance. That way we have time to review and get things on the agenda and look at weather conditions and see if we try to schedule a site visit beforehand if possible, which at this time of year is typically on a weekend, just because there's no daylight when we can all do it. And then it's a matter of determining whether or not compliance has been achieved, and then issuing the paperwork.
Okay. A light snow cover is okay in the photos?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's no snow
No, no, but by the time we get out there, it'll
Yeah,
probably be
that's
falling.
true. That's true, that could actually guarantee that we get some snow. Sorry to say. We have a copy of the recorded order, so I would say don't include a copy of the recorded order, but include reference to where it was recorded, the book and page. Do you want that?
I think I have.
You have it? Okay.
I mean, I have the, yeah, I have the
Okay.
book and page on this one.
Alright. So it's a relatively, especially since there was no wetland replication or mitigation, it should be a pretty straightforward process.
Okay,
Okay.
very good. We'll get to it.
Excellent.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Sure.
So, we have received no applications, and we actually have no applications. What's the deadline for the next meeting? Right? Sometimes it's 3 minutes. No, January 30th is the deadline for the next meeting. This is aside from the mailing. So, if you want to make the next meeting, you have until next Monday to file.
Yeah.
If that helps prioritize your workload differently.
we'll make our priority ourselves.
There you go.
But yes, thanks very much.
Take care.
We'll see you in a month or so.
Sounds good. So, we have a week or so before we see if we have anything for our next agenda.
Okay.
We have currently we have no requests for certificates of compliance. We may have one in a month or so. No emergency certs, no updates on enforcement actions. Open space.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Should Carolina Circle be taken off that list again?
Yes, right now the list is to A through C, various Bernard Gall properties, D Autumn Properties, LLC, rear 161 Northampton Street.
Got it.
Did you hear from DEP about the Groveland Street and Davies Farm?
No, there have been no updates.
Okay. I thought maybe since it said pending action. Moving right along.
I am not pushing that over. So, Jessica sent a link to a Google.
Yeah, it's just some notes about estimates that I've been collecting for the Echodale Orchard project, and so I'll go over them. And then, I don't know, today is a good day to talk about questions about how we wanna proceed, or if we wanna wait till more people are here.
I'd like to wait till more people are here and maybe ask if Jess Allen could be at that meeting
Yeah.
as well, because I feel like there's always that municipal process component to it that none of us can really speak to. And if we're gonna be asking her department for any assistance, then I feel like we'll just get further in the discussion if we're all at the table.
Yeah. And Colleen is looking at the invasive removal and control piece, so I don't know what her estimates are at this point yet. So what I looked into was the tree removal and pruning, which we talked a little bit about. That's actually gonna be the cheapest part of the project. It'll be like max 9,000 for both of those things. For getting rid of all the trees, brush hogging, and then the pruning project looks like it would be 2 to 3 years. That guy Dan Ladd that you referred me to is really cool. You know about him? Oh, you don't? He's the person who works for the Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. He does like these crazy art installations out
yeah.
of like tree roots
I didn't realize he
and
did
gourds
pruning.
and stuff. Yeah, he seemed like a totally like
Does he then
mellow
use
guy.
woody prunes for his?
He does some like grafting as part of what he does.
Some of
Yeah.
live, they're live sculptures, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking like, whoa, what else could we do in this space? So I did look at that we've talked about, like,
Maybe we did the city arts both involved.
yeah.
Oh.
So I feel like that's what the conversation I wanna have, like, what else do we wanna do with it, once those trees are removed and we put a trail in? The estimates I got for a trail was anywhere from $20,000 just for a basic 1 mile trail. And then if we wanted it to be in a handicap accessible trail, it'd be up to $125,000. So,
So when I
The
click on
difference
this
primarily
Echodale thing,
being-
it goes to a login that
oh no,
is, you don't want my login because I'm not gonna see your document.
right.
Unless
So
you put
you
in
could-
your email
Probably do.
address.
So I put my email in.
Do you wanna try that out and I'll see, and then if not, I can try sharing it
I
differently.
think that's what it is.
Cause I shared it with your
Okay.
Okay.
address. So the other things I looked into, and I wanna look more into them, is like an edible forest garden, how much that would cost, which would be costly. Even just like, regenerative design group in Greenfield, they, just for the like site analysis and design would be,
And then ask for passwords, that's where,
they could use your
Regular.
password,
okay.
yeah.
Which I would use for that one.
So, sorry, Jay.
It's okay.
I wonder, is there a way to share it differently so you don't have to log in? Cause you don't even have a Gmail.
Like a
Oh, you
Dropbox
don't,
kind
that's
of
not what I
thing
shared.
that,
You don't.
do a Dropbox kind of thing that you just go to it.
Yeah, I would just make it a document or like a PDF and send it to him. Okay.
But the nice thing about the Google is,
It stays.
And edit it.
well, multiple people can edit
Yeah.
it, but there's still just one version
Okay.
that everyone sees the updated version of.
Okay, I will send it as a PDF. No, this was my free pen from Show Circus, I'm gonna make it work.
For those of you with your
There's a
finger
reason
and
it sends it.
who edited it would work.
Tricky. Surfacing.
I know, seriously, I'm not giving up, just for the record. I will send it as a PDF. So that's where I'm at, like, it's clear that the cheapest stuff is gonna be just to get the trees out of there and put in a trail, and maybe that's all we wanna do.
Okay.
Or maybe that's like phase one,
Mhm.
but it might be nice to talk about.
It might be good to have a vision for subsequent phases, but it can also be a process that evolves over time. Like, once we actually see phase one, which sounds significant enough, then we can figure out what might be best.
Yeah, I'm excited about it, that's great, it'll be nice.
Question about the tree removal and pruning quotes. Does the tree removal, does that include hauling everything off-site?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it includes disposal.
We talked about this to some extent last time, but do we have that sense of how much money might be available from CPA? I can't remember if there was an actual number.
There's actually no open space money left, but there is, you can take money from the general fund and put it into whatever, so.
So what did the open space money get used for?
Like the,
That's cool.
off of East Street there, the
Oh, Butterfield.
things like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Okay, so nothing like the last round, just,
No.
just
So
in
we-
general that?
Yes, it
Okay.
just got used up for various things, but there's still, $1 million that you can choose from.
Mhm. And we have,
Ask for it.
we'll take all of it. And we would put up matching,
That
a
would
matching
be
component
CPA
from
people
the
like
Equidale
matching
West.
funds, yes.
From the Equidale West Fund, and I don't know how much is available there. Yeah, that's-
Again, Jess would help us with that story, so.
There's, if we're gonna go trail, there's also an organization called the Fields Pond Foundation out of Waltham that specifically is interested in funding public trails projects. So if we wanna look at other sources of money.
I'm upset about it.
Small depression.
Do you wanna use the?
Yeah, it's fine, it's the principle.
Okay, here's a clue. Companies give away cheap pens. They're not quality pens. I'm really sorry.
I had a really good one.
It happens from time to time.
Okay, I'm putting in the notes.
But in general.
How much money was given to Pascomic for Weatherfield?
I'd have to, I mean, there's a, I could look it up if it's.
I was just curious as far as like ballparks.
I was wondering.
Hmm?
It's a name. What kind of? No, if it segues into it at all or not, because the commission received an email yesterday from a resident who's lived in town for 5 years and would like to get involved locally. Land conservation, preservation of wetlands and wildlife habitat is a big priority. I'm wondering if you need any assistance. So we have we're a fully occupied board at this point, but that doesn't mean that we can't have people who help with special projects. So.
So I see 20,800 in Butterfields.
And startled yourself.
Yes. I was excited. I was hoping it was going to be a paperclip or something.
And some of the money could have come from the Daily Field entrance change that's in the works, so that could have been open space. Or the athletic field lights could have been part of that.
So next steps, should I invite Jess to maybe the next meeting, or see if she's available for the next meeting? Or,
Jessica Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's, if you will.
Is she not gonna attend regularly anymore?
She's been
Overbooked.
she's been stretched thin, so trying to alleviate when there's no
Nothing on the agenda.
overwhelming
Yeah.
benefit. Other than seeing
I'll find out when is best for her.
her. Okay.
It was a free moment.
Free moment. My head started
Okay, I think that's it on that, unless anybody has anything.
Okay, did you say you did get an estimate for, Forest Gardens or no?
I've brought together a bunch of different things I found, like I looked at if there's a project in Rhode Island, and in Providence, and how much that project cost. It went up to, $305,000, but the initial costs were $28,000.
So.
That additional
that-
cost is annual maintenance, so that's a big
Oh,
part of it.
yeah, I think we need to be looking at a,
Zero maintenance.
as a much lower maintenance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Low maintenance requirement.
And then Regenerative Design Group just gave me a quote for the design and analysis and permitting of the actual work, you know. Oh, and then I did also, so yeah, it's just an assemblage of quotes. I also got a quote for installation of plants for a project like that per square foot, which I feel like some of that stuff is all like volunteer kinds of projects that we could organize, so. Yeah, it seems like there are ways to reduce costs once we decide what we want it to look like.
Regenerative Design Group in particular is good at, they've done a lot of community projects where they use volunteers.
Oh,
They're really amenable to that.
That's great.
I don't know about Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts, but there seem to be quite a few Girl Scout, Daisy Girl Scout groups in the area, and community service is one of the angles. So, I wonder if that might present an opportunity when if we get to that point of any potential future project.
I wonder if it's like Oak would come.
I know they built things for senior projects and, you know, yeah, I don't know, that's a good point.
Because they have agriculture school.
There's also, doesn't Conway School periodically, like twice a year, aren't they looking for design projects at a
They-
pretty reasonable price? Did we already have this conversation?
We already had a round of,
That's right.
Did a
we-
nice thick
They
walk.
did.
So, oh my God.
There were,
There's a lot of stuff.
it was last winter, there were 2 public meetings, and in between, they took the feedback from the first meeting and rolled it into the second meeting, which then rolled into their final project, which was a report, and it was, it had to do with, kind of connecting open space recreational trails in
Some of
that
the
part
goals that
of
we
the
gave
city.
them just didn't work, it didn't,
Right,
there was
that
no
it didn't
solution
work.
that they could put together.
Right, like one of the biggest,
Ecodale
right, APR, agricultural preservation restriction, has some pretty stringent restrictions on it, including not disturbing prime farmland soils for other purposes. And so, there were some, like the town farm, that big hayfield down on the corner of Oliver and Pine Hill, Parker, is APR.
Okay.
So, and so is Equidale
So you can't cut
East.
through into that.
You know, and some of us, like, they laid out a 10-foot wide walking trail around the perimeter of Equidale East, which is.
goes over cliffs and through valleys.
Yeah, it kind of got laid out on paper.
It was a good idea, but no one looked at a map when
There's,
they.
it's not
when they
buildable.
Yeah, it's just not buildable.
Highly erodible soils, steep slopes, riverfront, rare species, like,
Yeah.
et cetera, and so on and so forth. And so, so we kind of, from a conservation commission perspective, I thought it was a great process. It brought a lot of people out to the public sessions, but it kind of got us back to working with our piece of Equidale West around the old orchard, because the logistics of the other were either impossible or nearly insurmountable.
And they did lay out a trail.
In
They
that
did,
area,
yeah.
there's
Actually,
something
one
great
piece that we
look,
did.
and we can look at that
Yeah,
next
sure.
time too. I know we have it electronically somewhere.
But they didn't really discuss the future of the orchard at all, as far as I remember.
Yeah,
I don't think that was set as a goal, I think it was more connecting trails and
Yeah, it was
making
all trail
trails, so,
days.
yeah.
So,
That doesn't mean they wouldn't do a project again and with more detailed trail discussion.
And focused.
Focus just on that area.
so, compliance updates, we're ready to move on.
I didn't really mean to try it that
Um,
I stood next to the tree that was cut.
how tall is it, Jay?
It's 6 feet tall.
Okay, thank you.
It's on the
Can you
short
make-
side, it's 6 feet tall. It's even taller if you stand in the
Thank
lower
you.
side. So it is cut correctly, so.
Thank you for confirming, it looked very short in the
It
photos.
did look very short. It's bigger in diameter than you think.
Hello,
Is this the Conservation
it
Commission?
Yes.
is.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm sorry. I'm
Quite
Mike.
all right?
Yes, I'm one of the owners of the medical building on Northampton Street.
Oh,
Did somebody from Sherman Frederick
yeah,
already
yeah,
come?
we
Yes.
spoke with Keith.
Okay,
We don't have a certificate of compliance on file, so
Okay.
we explained briefly what would be required.
okay,
It's not a huge undertaking.
Oh, good.
Other than, a form, the proper form, a narrative description, an as-built plan.
okay,
With the focus being, given the nature of the project and our jurisdiction, the focus was the stormwater basin.
okay,
And he knows our schedules
okay,
online,
great.
so.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize the meeting was at 6. I
Oh.
totally apologize.
Quite all right.
Sorry for interrupting.
It's not a very,
Thank you, we'll try to
advanced
get you that
schedule.
as soon as possible. I'm
That's
very
fine.
sorry for the oversight, because that's really, that's all it was an oversight.
Absolutely,
Sorry
no
about that.
problem.
Thank you.
Take care, thank you. So, thank you for confirming the height
Yeah, no
of the
problem.
tree. Can you
This
make
is
an-
at Paul Street?
That
This
Paul
is
Street.
lot 630 Paul Street. So, Mr. Gartzka had come in asking if, certain trees could be removed, certain outside the limit of work line.
Mm.
And the response was yes, but.
Mm.
And we put some restrictions on it, like you can't cut it flush to the ground, it's, leave it a standing
6 feet.
at least 6 feet.
And then we saw the picture.
And then the photos were very, it just didn't look,
So it just looks
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh, it
See?
looks very, yeah.
but
it really
but
is.
with Jay's height as a ruler
You didn't
here.
have to take my tape measure out, I just stand next to it.
That's right. So I'm glad to hear that.
Great.
Brush and wood chips removed from the site, repaired silt fence, fiber logs still in place along with berm, no signs of any erosion. Spring, so yeah, they did repair the silt fence, more or less. And we're on a bi-weekly, every other week reporting requirement there.
A certificate of compliance get issued for one of the houses?
Partial,
Right.
yep.
Partial.
Are there 2 more houses yet to go up?
But they might not be in buffer zone.
Oh, okay. So it might not be up this.
I was gonna
On
say,
the, yeah,
Right.
really.
Maybe
Is
beginning
it,
of
is
the
it, a-
street?
what is it, 6 houses total in the project?
I
Around
thought it was
6.
8 or 9.
Oh, it's
There is
not.
one more lot, it looks like, closer to, but it's probably
On
not
the
buffer zone.
south side of the
Yeah,
road.
on the south side.
Yeah,
But it's probably
basically-
not buffer zone.
Right, so everything on the south side of the road was essentially out of buffer zone.
Okay. So where are those trees?
I don't know, behind.
Somewhere
this-
over here?
like
Over
right
there.
behind this house
Yeah.
here. You probably see that one there, that was probably it, but it was leaning towards the house.
Cool.
And then a couple of smaller trees with a bunch of bittersweet vine or
Bittersweet,
something.
And there was just bittersweet taking over a tree that was dying from it, so.
So we just cleaned that up. Okay, so Pleasant Street Mills, no
Nothing happened I know
updates.
of.
Nashwack Mills, 15 Cottage Street,
Nothing there.
nothing on the Oxbow. 184 Northampton Street,
They tore that other building down and, haven't seen the activity, just driving by, haven't seen the activity in a couple of weeks.
okay. No updates on Lathrop. No updates on Williston. No updates on Nashwauk Pond Aquatic Vegetation Management. Loven, off O'Neill Street.
I stopped there today, Mr. Logan was there.
Okay.
The winter is being a little mild, so he's able to get some things done.
Is it turning into a complete mud pit?
It's a mud hole, yes, but I mean, we're just driving around in it, so it doesn't matter.
So the reports, you know,
You
they're.
saw the deer eating the straw.
Yeah, so in the email,
Straw wattles.
apparently the deer are being opportunist. And, they're eating the straw wattles. As you can see from the last. Yeah, the straw is appetizing to the.
Are you sure it's not hay by accident?
Yeah, right?
I'm pretty sure the manufacturers would not make that
Yeah,
mistake.
too expensive.
Will replace wattles as needed, so there's some
It
photos.
isn't causing any problems.
No.
So it's,
Yeah, as long as,
Is that all full then?
yes,
Brought it all
yeah, they
back?
Yeah.
kind of made a little area so they can back a truck in and dump, to build up that area. He said he moved
I've seen other
moved the
ones.
road over a little bit, he's still within his
Where-
range, but to protect this white oak
Yes.
tree, he's
Or
just trying to
pasture.
save that tree, so.
That's fine.
There's a cow eating. So you have to replace
Is the
those.
mud pit part
Well,
of
you
the
can see
wetland?
this.
What can we replace?
Well,
Part.
it's within his area of work. but
Right,
it's-
but they were, this is going right through.
He's
a
fine, yeah,
section, right?
he's doing.
Those are
What he said he was,
Yes, he's
by
working where he
volunteering.
says so.
Yeah.
But
But
if
if
you
you're-
can do like mulch or compost
Do you
with
want
juice.
some
Oh.
Socks.
Yeah.
So they're still brown like wattles, but they're just filled with like, you can
Mhm.
fill them with wood chips. There are alternatives. It's not a,
Nylon coating is,
I was thinking more like, like wood chip filled
yeah.
tubes or compost filled tubes, but it's not a site stability, erosion sedimentation control issue, so I don't see the need to require that be the next step. Can we put these in the pile of things to be filed? Together? They go together? Okay. Cumberland Farms.
Do you have to sign something for that?
Yes. So, this is, the order of conditions with the special condition. You, even though you were here, can sign it because it's a ministerial act. It doesn't require,
Me to have been here.
right,
You've
because
all
we've
approved
we've
it
already
already.
approved it, so
Right.
this is just paperwork. So,
You gotta use my new pen on
Yeah.
it though.
The invisible pen.
Ricky can't go to work. You can't sign.
2 weeks ago.
It's
not
so hazy.
not good, but-
So the stormwater permit is actually attachment C, so that we only have one set of documents they all get recorded at the same time. So, date of issuance. Tonight, 6 signers.
1, 2, 3.
Oh. Oh, Dan Buttrick's, oh, second. Pages in order. Third. So, I need to ask Jess Allen to.
That was the order of conditions that we just signed.
Yes.
And stormwater combined.
Yes.
The stormwater permit combined with it.
So at the last meeting, Luke DiStefano from Bowler asked that we email him a PDF and send the original to the applicant Manny Paiva? P-A-I-V-A. And we also need to send a copy to Mark Stinson. We also need to send this copy to. So apparently, copies of recent orders have not gone to DEP. So we have to catch up.
And they're supposed to.
Yes. And at the meeting attended by Mark Stinson previously, when he said it was okay to email him a PDF or something, it turned out to maybe not be so okay.
Okay.
So even though he said it's okay to email him PDFs, I'm asking Jess to send hard copies, just because I don't want to deal with it. So that's great. So that will, the pending, the date, it's no longer pending issuance, the date of expiration is going to be 1/23/2020.
Whoa.
That's crazy. Yeah. So under general business, we just signed previously approved permits for Cumberland Farms. We received an email inquiry from the property owner of 51 East Street regarding repaving their driveway and potential Wetlands Protection Act jurisdiction. This is on East Street, on the Oxbow side of the road, right at the Interstate 91 embankment.
At the base of the.
So,
91 right.
DEP does show a hydrologic connection, so they show a blue line, but there's no upgradient wetland resource area, making it a jurisdictional stream. So based on my assessment,
Okay.
it's a non-jurisdictional drainage ditch, which means there's no jurisdiction.
Great.
So I will respond to that email. Jess is not here to tell us about the shared conservation agent.
Well, we should put together a little list of maybe the primary things we would like a shared conservation agent to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will pass it on next Monday after the
Clean
meeting.
up file management.
Will you wait 1 second before we?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you proceed with?
No, I'll wait.
Where's your meeting, Jane?
It's in this building.
When is it?
Oh, next Monday. You said, where is it?
What are you gonna wear?
I'll call ahead and make sure we all match.
Okay. Alright. Ready. Clean up files.
We have to take minutes?
Draft a bylaw, update bylaw draft, take minutes.
Can we do minutes?
Did you just say draft a bylaw draft?
Update the bylaw draft. I did probably say draft a bylaw draft. I think that could be the next little
Sorry, all kids can join. Okay.
Write up enforcement orders, things like
Yeah.
that.
Compliance, general compliance.
General, is that all of the stopping over to see things that Jay does?
Could be.
Yeah, those things,
I
all,
mean,
could
that's
you
not,
miss that?
yeah, that's fine for me, but writing up, an enforcement order against someone is
Yeah.
not something that I should be doing that.
No, it'd be nice if someone else did
General compliance,
that. Yeah.
is there another word that goes with that? Just general compliance. Enforcement.
Enforcement, sure.
What about those papers?
Which papers are you referring to?
I guess the applicant does a lot of the paperwork, the forms, those
What about
papers.
writing?
But like writing
orders and
conditions
stuff?
and.
We could have someone draft orders. And
Oh.
prepare draft determinations.
And all of the printing and emailing and stuff like
And mailing those things.
Well, Jessica deals with a lot of those things, so I'm sure she'd want that off her
Yeah.
plate. To not be into the, having to forward all those things to us and deal with
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, a lot of it's administrative, like, you know, and only because I've heard of difficulties from other places where they do have staff. So I think we would need to be, you know, if part of the job description included preparing meeting minutes, it would be providing the meeting minutes, you know, at least a week, draft meeting minutes, at least a week before the next meeting.
To put some structure in place.
Yeah, I know some places that are 6 to 9 months behind, and,
How do you get out of that hole? It's horrible.
yeah.
It's hard enough to look back at these 2 weeks later.
Oh, how about May 9th? Roll with it.
that.
All right, well, those are some good highlights, so that'll get our conversation started, and we'll see where it goes.
Okay. Conscious is. All right. Meeting minutes. Ready?
Wait, yes, ready.
Check to make sure I was here.
Do we have the right
Who,
people?
I think we do. May 9th.
I was there.
You were there.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from May 9th,
2016.
2016.
I don't think I was here yet.
You were. So then,
Or
Do
less
we-
than. So is there a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Somehow on the, actual meeting minutes are up in front of, ahead of general business. But on here, they're part of general business, preferences for how I keep it.
Keep it separate, it's fine.
I think we could put it below general business, of course. If you want.
For some, I don't know if this is like, I'm just gonna.
Sounds good. Next, December 12th.
Yes. Would some, other than Ashley,
Yeah.
care to make a
I
motion?
would love to make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 12th, 2016 meeting.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Can't say
Vote.
anything.
No, you cannot. So moved even without Ashley's
Without.
contribution. All right,
Your name.
January 9th, 2017.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 9th, 2017.
Is there a
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Caught up. I will email PDFs to Barb from Lombard's office.
That's
Yeah.
something the conservation agent can do, right?
Mm-hmm.
If,
Be
you know,
nice.
we have one.
If we get one. It would be nice. I mean, the flip side of it is looking at just to circle back to that a little bit, looking at the amount of time per week. You know, where would the commission and the community most benefit from another
Paid staff person.
paid staff person, source of effort and labor, and, you know, despite best efforts, we do neglect land conservation and management. And so that could be, you know, if given a choice, you know, I'd rather keep writing permits if it meant that you know, if that was going to be a significant amount of time, and that would be time better spent doing other things, so. Worthy of discussion.
What other sorts of things do agents do?
They can provide technical input, on applications. So, how something, does something really comply with, I doubt in most people for that position would be qualified to review stormwater management. But, only because so the way peer review works is you're supposed to be, you're required to have a Mass PE to stamp a stormwater report. So we can review it, but, and as the board, it doesn't matter whether we do or not, but to do a technical review, someone should really have the engineering qualifications.
Well, it seems like we have the stormwater and the wetlands expertise
Right.
already, right?
At the present time.
What if Dan was to leave, then we'd be missing that piece?
We may be missing, but we do have a city engineer now, so, theoretically, I'm just not so sure, most conservation agents would be technically qualified to do that.
What are the qualifications of the person
For a conservation agent,
Yeah.
depends on where, I mean, that could be a requirement,
Hmm.
it's not really it's one piece of many, so I would think someone who's understands open meeting law, someone who understands the Wetlands Protection Act, especially the enforcement compliance end of it.
This will be a shared agent with Southampton, so we'll
Right.
see what
They
their
need.
issues are, what they need to
Yeah.
do too.
It's a full-time position between the two, right?
Between the two.
Yeah, so it'd be
20 hours a week for each one of us.
or something
For
like that.
17.
Yeah, whatever. Is the city over 37 and a half?
The city's only open 4 days a
4
week.
days, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
there are no
that's right.
office hours, right?
Right.
This city. This city.
Oh, there are.
Why aren't the schools only open?
Why are we all only open 4 days a week?
There's a Friday coming up.
That's right.
Allow me to remind you.
Don't worry.
Friday help day.
It's not, it's a professional development.
Oh.
It's not like.
So it's not really a day off, but it's
Yeah.
a day without the children.
Okay, so someone who understands open meeting law, Wetlands Protection Act, stormwater ordinance, but not.
That would be
And
nice.
We'll see how it plays
Um,
out.
Well, what do we
Land.
look for someone to focus on more of the conservation open space stuff?
Yeah,
What kind of traits might?
land management, so. I have no idea.
Like someone who worked with the land trust or?
Maybe trails, trail building, design layout.
Would be interested in somebody who would have ideas about like acquisition for public lands. So
Someone
who's
should work
written
in the
in
planning
motion?
department and local land trusts.
Yes,
We should
maybe
try to
more.
get as many things off Jessica's plate as we can
Yeah.
too, for the things that she's handling,
Mhm.
so.
So maybe someone with some degree of planning background even.
Possibly.
Is Jessica her entire office? Is
No.
that just her?
No, she has Jamie.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
And I'm not sure, there was someone writing grants, Susan. Is anyone mind if we try to wrap up this meeting?
Is there any
Before bedtime?
correspondence?
Maybe.
You got other correspondence?
Minor. Municipal records retention schedule. Does anyone wanna take it and review it? There was a decision regarding 49 Union Street, site plan approval for a retail smoke shop, which we said we did no jurisdiction over.
smoke shop, huh?
It's hard to reverse it.
Including Christopher Cockshaw,
So this
he
would,
joined the planning board.
this will theoretically tell us what we can get rid of, right?
Yes.
We only have to keep RDAs for a year.
I would prefer we keep them longer. I mean, they're valid for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, these are about this is about the MECC Annual Environmental Conference on Saturday, March 4th, College of the Holy Cross, Worcester. I don't know what, if anything, we have in our budget to send people, probably nothing. But it's all on their website, but if anyone would like to see the MACC. You went one year.
I did.
So, and that, so what do we wanna do with who, if anyone wants to take the lead with this inquiry regarding participating or contributing?
Start contributing what?
So, I mentioned this when, Jessica was mentioning volunteers, I think. People who can do things.
That person,
Resident who is looking to get involved locally, land conservation, preservation of wetlands and wildlife habitat is a big priority. So I think it would, we don't have any seats open, I think that's what I can do, I can apply.
but we encourage them to come and,
We're working towards some open space actions.
and we'd be delighted to have their participation.
Yeah.
And maybe if we should invite them specifically to the meeting that Jess can come to when we talk, so they can. Familiar with it.
Okay, so our next meeting is February 13th, 6 p.m. Does everyone think they can make it for that?
It's Valentine's Eve. Well, in that case, we're just.
Should we bring candy?
Yes.
We should, okay, good plan. Beyond that,
Can we specify chocolate?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
6:59 on my watch.
I guess 6 or 7 on the computer. Perfect.